for bringing the sound. Thank you to Sarah for inviting me to do this. And thank you guys for being out here. And give your money so that we can not become extinct. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Driven all these miles, I've crisscrossed crystal streams. I've never seen Ohio, but I've been there in my dreams. Yeah.
Okay.
Did I wake up early?
I'm going to answer a question that I get at every door. And I've gotten several times tonight, why are you running for office? Well, the bottom line is, it really comes from my roots. My grandfather and father and mother taught me you have to give back to your community. That's how the world works. But my grandfather went one step further, and he said, you can't leave anybody behind. So I have done this my whole life. I started out being a political activist in college. I was working in Oregon on the front line against the Oregon Citizens Alliance when they were trying to make it illegal to be homosexual. Mm-hmm. I was working in the 90s when we were trying to protect the old growth. And more recently, when I adopted a new profession of veterinary medicine, I have been working for my profession for the last 10 to 15 years. That has taken me to the federal level. I've worked with the EPA, the USDA, the FDA, and when needed, the Congress. More recently, since I've moved to Washington 8 years ago, I've worked for the Washington State Veterinary Medical Association, serving on the board of directors, including the last 2 years as the president of Washington State Veterinary Medical Association. As a matter of fact, I just came from there. And it seemed like I had been practicing to run for office. As a matter of fact, some people that I knew in these associations kept asking me, why aren't you running? Well, Wednesday morning in November in 2016, there was no more questions in my mind. I was going to run. It was enough. I had practiced enough. It was time to not practice. It was time to stand up, to step up, and do what I knew was right, which is politics. All good politics are local. And when I looked at Washington, D.C. and where we were going and the trajectory in that November morning, I realized that we were going to have to start at the ground level. And we were going to have to stand arm in arm and say we weren't going to do where this gentleman was going to take us. And by the way, I do refer to him like Voldemort, so I won't say his name. But I do think Voldemort may be a little bit smarter. I just didn't know from that morning, that Wednesday morning, that he would repeatedly give me a reason to be running for office, sometimes daily. I admit I was one of those junkies for New York Times, and I felt like I was watching car crashes. I had to look in the morning and see what he'd done. But I want to stop with that, because too much we talk about fear, too much. I want to talk about hope. I want to talk about what this campaign has given me. Actually, no, it was the day after the inauguration when I showed up at Olympia in the Capitol steps, and thousands of people in Olympia, and hundreds of thousands of people around the country, and millions of people around the world stood up and said, no, we will not do this. We have hope, and I think it's on every candidate and every elected official's head to keep that hope alive, to not bow down to the hate and the fear, and when it's necessary, kneel during the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
Because hope is what's going to get us through this. Hope is going to get us through the problems in Olympia. And we have problems. But first, I want to talk about the hope that our current city council has given us. They've given us the Global Covenant of Mayors, which is mandating that we get a climate action plan. Okay? That's pretty phenomenal. This city took this on, what was it, 7 years ago, 7 years ago, before it was trendy. When Trump put out the first travel ban, we were one of the first small towns that stepped up and said, we're a sanctuary city. There's hope in our own city. But the real effort is taking that hope and manifesting it into action and getting things done. And I have hope that we can deal with the homelessness. Okay? I have hope we can deal with the growth and the environment and providing a living wage and progressive values for our small business owners, because all of those are interconnected like a spider web. So for the homeless, just real simply, we've got to get housing. And that housing is not going to be one size fits all. It's not just going to be tiny homes. It's not just going to be what the Home Fund is going to do, which we're going to see on the ballot in February. I'm 100% behind that. That's 250 housing units with wraparound services. So we got the spectrum, tiny homes, full services. It's going to be everything in between. I have hope we can do this. I met a gentleman last Tuesday, I think it was. I was filling my car at the Shell station on State and Plum. And I was wearing my Lisa Parshley for City Council. And he goes, "You're running for City Council?" And I said, "Yeah." And he went off on me. What he said to me is what I hear a lot. We have sometimes an opinion of people without housing that they're all lazy, that they want to be on the street, that they came here because we have services. That's not true. This gentleman was injured in Afghanistan. He pulled his shirt over. It was a big mortar wound that was scarred up. He's working 35 hours a week because he's gotten himself together, but he can't afford a house. And I would say a majority of the people without housing are in his situation. He wants a home, okay? So if we get housing, and if we get shelters while we get them to housing, if we get them matched to services, and more importantly, if the city government owns this as our problem, and not wait for the regional answer to come along, because somebody has to lead. Why not Olympia? Why not Olympia be the leader in homelessness? There's no reason we can't. Now, going to the growth part of this, I've been hearing statistics, 20,000 in the next 20 years, 5,000 downtown. It's probably going to be more than that when we have eco-refugees coming from other parts of the country, because we're going to become more livable, not less, and they're going to become less livable. When we plan that housing, we need to be careful. And we're in a golden period where we can actually plan it and not just make strategies and beautiful pictures on the wall. We have to make zoning, permitting, and incentives to build a high-density growth that's green, sustainable, protects our green spaces, our urban farms, and our rural farms. Because if we don't take control now, not 10 years now, not 5 years now, the next couple of years, and make some of these changes, the developers are going to determine what Olympia, Washington looks like. And let me tell you what they consider low-cost housing is. 10% below market. Let me do a little calculation for you. At $15 minimum wage, and you're working 40 hours a week, you're making about $29,000 a year before taxes. So if you take out taxes at 28%, and you do 1/3 of your salary for housing, that's about $550 a month. Do you know what current housing is in Olympia, Washington, for a 1-bedroom or studio? $800 to $1,000. I heard something today that I have to confirm now. I don't know if this is real, so look it up. But we were having a strategy session talking about a union that might be coming to veterinary medicine, which I'm fully behind. And the person introducing it was talking about new statistics out of the Harvard Wharton School of Business that said they consider a living wage $20 an hour. Okay? Our new state law says by 2020 we're going to get to $13.50 an hour. And if we've already got up to $20 an hour, go back to the housing. We need to, as a city, ensure that for every building that is above a couple units, we have a certain number of those units that can be afforded by somebody who's making the current minimum wage in our town and in our state. Because if we don't, we've got a pipeline back to the homelessness problem. Right there. It's all interconnected. And then we have another gentleman in another grocery store or another gas station telling somebody else, I'm working full time and I'm living in my car. Now that goes to the last thing. I have to admit my age a little bit. I was around during Reagan and he brought in the trickle-down effect. We had a saying, what really trickled down, but I won't say that because I won't be Trump and I won't be crude. But I can tell you, if you go back, and this comes from my mother, who said, I don't know why we want to go back to the 1950s. I was alive then. It's just as well they're behind us. Because she was fired when she got pregnant with my husband as a school teacher, because children shouldn't see a woman who was pregnant. But when she talked about the prosperity of the 1950s, it was because the people who were in the lower and middle incomes had living wages. This isn't new. But somehow we forget it. So I pay minimum wage $15 an hour at my practice. I pay all of their benefits. And I'm a small business. I think we can bring those kinds of small business values to Olympia. We can grow a progressive small business community. Maybe the city needs to do an audit on our own small business practices. Maybe we should get together small businesses like mine and start paving the way with examples to show that if we improve a living wage and we put money in people's pocket, that money comes back out into our community and we all thrive. Everybody has a house. And how we do that, it goes back to the environment. Green energy. Green energy. That is the fastest growing business sector in the country. We should be looking at what Jay Inslee and all the other people are talking about with carbon taxes, because some of the money that comes from that is retraining of people so that they can get into the same industry. We should be reaching out to unique other things that are green, including looking into our own landfills and dumps. Believe it or not, Vancouver, BC is hoping to be almost completely compostable in their landfills. And part of what they're doing is they're mining out of their own landfills precious metals. They're looking to use the plastics to develop a new kind of energy that burns hot enough with scrubbers that's cleaner than coal and actually can provide alternative sources of electricity. They're looking at harvesting the methane. So why aren't we looking at these things in our own community, and why isn't Olympia become known as the capital for thinking outside the box, building these small businesses, and why aren't we becoming an incubator for this kind of business in our own town? And then we got a living wage, we got housing, and we are tackling the homelessness problem that's currently there. While we're doing this, we're protecting our environment. The last thing I want to talk about is the climate. This is not a Democrat, this is not an independent, and this is not a Republican problem. It's all of our problems. We have a sea level city. I've heard Zita talk about new statistics that as early as 2025, 2030, we could be facing 100 to 150 king tides a year. What's that going to do to our downtown? What's that going to do to the peninsula? What's that going to do to the lake? We have to really get serious about this. I think the city and the city councilors have done a phenomenal job starting, but we need people in the city council that keeps that effort going, because we not only are obligated to mitigate it, but we need to make it better. Because I've got 10 nieces and nephews, and I want to leave a better place when I go for them. I don't want to see them dealing with the catastrophe that's facing us if we don't take this seriously. But I have hope. I have met people that work for the state government, that live here in Olympia, that have the knowledge. I think we can develop a uniquely regional and Olympia-specific climate action plan that not only mitigates but decreases our carbon footprint, and we are not part of the problem. And we can once again look like the example and the leader for our region and our county. So I'll leave you with this. I have hope. And it's mainly because of the people of Olympia and all the doors that I knock on. I have hope because we already have a good structure in our city government. We already have good city councilors. But we have to get all of us elected who have the same vision. And when I would throw it out there, Clark Gilman, Renata, myself, Zita, Bill Fishburne, all of us are looking at the same ideas. Oh yeah, and that guy over there. Jim Cooper. Sorry about that, Jim. I knew I'd forget somebody. That it's not just about one person, it's not just about me. It's about all of us, and that's my vision. I have hope because I believe in people, and I believe together as a community and as a village, we can tackle anything. Don't let what's happening on the other Washington get you down, because right here, right where we're living, we have the means to make a difference. So thank you. I'm Lisa Parshley. I'm running for Olympia City Council.
Now, if you would like to get her elected to the city council, I think you need to be loud. So stand up and get out of your chairs and tell me how much you want to elect Lisa Parshley, Olympia City Council. Come on, let's get it louder. Let's make sure they can hear us downtown.
Grass is green, the birds they sing, your life divine, we feel like summertime. Yeah. Blow off all these worries, I lay down here to rest. I can't pretend I'm strong enough to handle all your mess. And I hear my mother calling, I go back to that life when everything that felt so simple snuck up too fast. I never said goodbye, no. No, I never said goodbye, no. If you could trade another tomorrow, no, and go back to yesterday, the flowers bloom, golden moons, they light your eyes. You feel like summertime, yeah. Summertime, the grass is green and the birds they sing. Summertime, the flowers bloom and the golden moons. Summertime, stars they kiss those midnight skies. Let lovers dance and lovers play. We're holding on to yesterday. Yeah. Oh, yesterday. Hold on. Oh, oh, yesterday. Oh, yeah. Said lovers dance and lovers play. We're holding on to yesterday.
To learn more about Lisa Parshley, visit her website at lisaforolympia.com. Paid for by the Committee to elect Lisa Parshley for Olympia City Council, Position 5.